Some houses don't want to be explored. Some places don't. Just sit quietly, abandoned and decaying. They remember. They wait. Crosby Towers stood like a decayed relic by the Scottish seaside, its Italianate arches and shattered windows whispering of forgotten lives. Once a whiskey merchant's home, later a care facility, then abandoned to rot. But something inside never left. It watched. And when we entered, it made sure we knew we weren't welcome. The town of Troon had its fair share of ghost stories, but Crosby Towers was the one people never laughed about. It was May 2012. We should have been studying for exams, but adventure called us instead. A group of us, restless, reckless, decided to explore the old house before it was lost to time. We found a way in through a loose wooden board, at the back squeezing, into the darkness beyond. The air inside was heavy, thick with dust and something else, something stagnant. A faded sign on the wall read, "Warning, CCTV in operation." A lie. No one had watched this house in years, or so we thought. We hesitated in the entrance, our whispers bouncing off peeling walls. The house felt hollow, but not empty. Then bang! An explosion of sound from upstairs. A heavy, deafening crash, like something massive had been thrown from the top of the staircase. We ran, bursting into the night, hearts hammering, ears ringing. But something about that sound stayed with us. It wasn't just loud, it was angry. Days later, we came back. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. At the back entrance again, I felt it. A slow, creeping pressure. A wrongness. Then I heard it. A woman's scream. Not distant, not muffled. A sharp, piercing wail cutting through the silent night. I bolted, out of the yard, breath burning in my lungs. But when I turned back, confused, trembling, my friends only stared. No one else had heard it. We forced ourselves to explore deeper. The house swallowed us, room by room. The air inside was stale, thick with old secrets. A broken-down elevator shaft gaped open like a mouth. Then, in the corner of one forgotten hallway, we found something that shouldn't have been there. A dentist's chair, bolted to the floor. Leather cracked, rusted metal restraints still attached. Why would a house like this have something like that? We didn't want to know. A year later, we were walking past the house at sunset. We weren't inside, we weren't even close. Then, tap. A soft sound, like knuckles against glass. We turned. Nothing. Tap. Tap dot. From a second-floor window, an empty, gaping rectangle of blackness. Then my friend took the photos. 2 pictures taken seconds apart. In the first, nothing. In the second, a face. Pale, thin, hollow black slits for eyes. It had been watching us the whole time. Crosby Towers was renovated in 2015. Now, it's a block of apartments. Families live there. I don't know who sleeps in the room behind that second-floor window. I don't know if they ever hear taps on the glass late at night. But I do know one thing. Some places don't forget, and some things don't leave. They say abandoned places hold echoes of the past, whispers of those who never truly left. For us, it was just supposed to be. Another night of urban exploration, an adventure, a thrill. But what we found in that? Decaying schoolhouse in southeast Ohio was something far darker, something that watched, that waited, that hunted. The school had been abandoned for years, a relic of the past, swallowed by time. Its windows were shattered, its doors creaked on rusted hinges, and the smell of mold clung to the air, like a ghostly presence. We arrived just past midnight, 5 of us, Jason, Sarah, Ben, Emily, and me. Armed with flashlights and a cheap camera, we pushed open the heavy front doors and stepped inside. The place was deathly silent. Dust floated in the moonlight, streaming through broken windows. Desks lay overturned, old papers scattered across the floor, as if the students had fled in a hurry and never returned. A chill ran down my spine as I looked down the long, dark hallway. We laughed nervously, trying to shake off the unease. Sarah snapped pictures, the camera's flash briefly, illuminating the peeling paint and faded posters on the walls. Then we heard it. A distant creak, a slow, deliberate sound. We turned our flashlights toward the noise, but the hallway remained empty. Jason chuckled, calling it just the building settling. But something about the sound felt off, like it wasn't the building at all. Emily swore she saw a shadow move at the end of the corridor. We told ourselves it was our minds playing tricks, but deep down, we knew better. We entered an old classroom, the desks covered in dust, long-forgotten assignments still resting atop them. The blackboard had faint writing, letters that looked like they'd been smeared by unseen hands. Ben sat in one of the chairs and grinned. "Guess I'm the teacher now," he joked. But before we could laugh, the chair he sat in tipped backward violently, as if something had yanked it. Ben crashed to the floor, his flashlight rolling away. The air turned frigid. "We need to go," Emily whispered, her voice barely above a breath. We stumbled out of the classroom, our nerves frayed. The hallway stretched before us, darker than before. Then came the sound. Heavy footsteps echoing from somewhere beyond our sight. Not ours. Jason shone his flashlight. Toward the far end of the hall, a figure stood there. It wasn't a ghostly specter. No, it was worse. A man, tall, gaunt, dressed in filthy clothes, just standing there, watching. Then he started running. We ran. Our footsteps pounded against the floor as we sprinted down the hall, desperate to find an exit. The sound of pursuit grew louder, closer. Sarah screamed as another figure emerged from a side corridor, another man just like the first, blocking our path. We turned, our only escape now through the gymnasium doors. Jason threw his weight against them and they burst open. We poured inside, our hearts hammering. "Lock it!" I yelled. Ben shoved a metal bar through the handles, securing the door, just as something slammed against it from the other side. We backed away from the doors, gasping for breath. The banging continued, growing more aggressive. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence. Then we heard something new. A soft, wheezing laugh from inside the gym. Emily's flashlight trembled as she swept it across the dark space. In the farthest corner, hunched near the old bleachers, something moved. A third man, grinning. We didn't stop to scream, we just ran. Somehow, we made it outside, never looking back. To this day, we don't know who they were, or why they were there, but one thing is certain. Some places aren't abandoned. Some places are waiting. Waiting for people like us.